Welcome friends. Now we are going to study a very important topic in the field of HVAC ducting work, that is the selection of duct sheet gauge for the fabrication of air conditioning duct. I, Engineer Nasir, welcome you to our channel NC Engineering and Technology. Friends, if you are new to our channel or still you have not subscribed it, please subscribe to our channel so that we can make more studies and can bring more videos for you. First of all, we should know what is meant by duct sheet gauge. The gauge is the measurement of a sheet thickness that we are going to use for the fabrication of a duct. For the selection of duct sheet gauge or the thickness of the sheet that we are going to use for the fabrication of duct, we need to know three things. Number 1, external static pressure. Number 2, reinforcement spacing. Number 3, duct dimensions. The external static pressure of the fan or equipment we can get from the equipment specification after the selection of the fan or equipment. Number 2 is reinforcement spacing. As we know, we fabricate the duct in pieces and during installation process we join all these pieces together to get the complete ducting required for our system. The length of a single piece of duct we can consider as the reinforcement spacing for the selection of duct gauge from the SMACNA spacing. Number 3 is the dimensions that you can read from the ducting shop drawings. Now we will learn how to select the duct sheet gauge for a duct with the help of this shop drawing. As we know, for the selection of duct sheet gauge for any ducting system we should have three information. Number 1, external static pressure for the fan or equipment to which this ducting is connected. Number 2, reinforcement spacing or the length of duct pieces. Number 3, duct dimension. In this drawing, HU1 is supplying the supply air through a duct, and from the specification of the HU we found the external static pressure for this HU equal to 500 Pascal. So item number 1, external static pressure for the HU we have found it is 500 Pascal. Number 2 is reinforcement spacing or the length of a single piece. We have decided that we will fabricate this duct in pieces with a length of 1.2 meter for each piece. Number 3 is the duct dimensions that we can read from the shop drawing. You can see the first portion of the duct is with a dimension of 1250 into 800 mm. The dimension for the second part is 1000 into 600 mm. And the dimension for the third part is 850 into 600 mm. Let us summarize the information which we got from the shop drawing. Number 1, external static pressure for the HU is equal to 500 Pascal. Number 2, the length for a single piece of duct which we are going to fabricate will be 1.2 meter length. And number 3, we have three duct sizes. One is 1250 into 800 mm, the second is 1000 into 600 mm, and the third is 850 into 600 mm. On the basis of static pressure, SMACNA divides the ducting system into 7 classes and they provide separate table for each class. You can select any table among them as per your equipment external static pressure. And these tables are available in both system inches and millimeter. You can see here the first table is for half inch water gauge static pressure or 125 Pascal. The second is for 1 inch water gauge static pressure or 250 Pascal. The number 3 table is for 2 inch water gauge static pressure or 500 Pascal. The fourth one is for 300 inch water gauge static pressure or 750 Pascal. The fifth one is for 4 inch water gauge static pressure or 1000 Pascal. The sixth one is for 6 inch water gauge static pressure or 1500 Pascal. And the seventh and last one is for 10 inch water gauge static pressure or 2500 Pascal. As our HU's external static pressure is 500 pascal, so we will use the table 1-5 for our study for the selection of duct sheet gauge. As our duct dimensions are in millimeters, so we will use the SMACNA table, that is in metric system, where the thickness of the sheet is given in millimeter. To convert from millimeter to gauge, we will use this table that we made from the SMACNA. So you can see from this table, for 26 gauge we have the thickness of the sheet in millimeter 0.5512. For 24 gauge we have 0.7010 mm thickness. For 22 gauge we have 0.8534 mm thickness. For 20 gauge we have the sheet thickness 1.006 mm. For 18 gauge we have the sheet thickness 1.311 mm, and for 16 gauge we have the sheet thickness 1.613 mm. As the external static pressure for our HU is 500 pascal, so we will select the table from the SMACNA, that is for 500 static pressure. As we are going to fabricate the duct with a length of 1.2 meter for a single duct, so we will select a column for 1.2 meter reinforcement spacing. Number 3, as we have 3 dimensions for the duct, so we will select the gauge for all 3 dimensions one by one. The first column of this table is for the duct dimension, and our first duct dimension is 1250 into 800 mm. So we will try to find this value in this column. Then you can see here it is coming in the range of 1200 to 1300. So we will select this row, and we will see where it is intersecting to a column for 1.2 meter spacing. So you can find this cell where we can find the thickness for the sheet 1.00 mm. It means for the fabrication of a duct having a larger dimension 1250 mm, we need to select a sheet having a thickness of 1 millimeter or of 20 gauge. Our second duct dimension is 1000 by 600 mm. Let us try to find this value in this column, and we found it here. Let us select this row and try to see where it is intersecting the column for the reinforcement spacing of 1.2 meter. Then we found it is intersecting here in this cell. From this cell you can see the thickness for the sheet is 0.7 mm. It means for the fabrication of a duct having the larger side of 1000 mm or 1 meter, we need to select a sheet of thickness 0.7 mm or of a gauge of 24 gauge. Our third duct dimension is 850 into 600 mm. So let us try to find this value in the first column. Then you can see it is lying in between 751 to 900 mm. So let us select this rows. Now we will see where is the intersection of this row with the column of 1.2 meter spacing. Then we can find at this cell it is the point of intersection. So from this cell we can see the thickness for the sheet is 0.7 mm. It means for the fabrication of a duct having the larger size of 850, we need to select a sheet having a thickness of 0.7 mm, or we need to select a sheet of 24 gauge. Suppose we have another duct having a dimension of 750 into 600 mm. So to find the thickness of the sheet for the fabrication of this duct, we will follow the same procedure. We will go in the first column to find the largest dimension of this. So the largest dimension from this duct is 750. So we will find it is here 750. We will select this row, and as we are going to fabricate the duct in a pieces of length 1.2 meter, so we will find the column from here for the reinforcement spacing of 1.2 meter, and we will see the point of intersection for this column and this row. We found here in this cell it is the point of intersection. So from this cell you can see the thickness for the sheet, it is 0.55 mm. So it means for the fabrication of a duct having larger side 750 mm with a single piece length of 1.2 meter, we need to select a sheet of thickness 0.55 mm or of 26 gauge. So we can summarize our study as: if we know the external static pressure of the equipment or fan for which we are going to fabricate the duct, and we know the duct piece length on which we are going to fabricate the duct, then for any given duct sizes, using this 7 table, we can select the sheet thickness or gauge of the duct. There is one very important point to be remembered when you will go for the installation of the duct and you will join two ducts together. The class of the duct joint should be minimum or equivalent to the class of the reinforcement spacing inside the cell from where you select the gauge for the duct sheet, and we will discuss this topic in detail in part 5. Now I hope that I am able to explain you how to select the gauge for a given duct. And friends, if you are new to our channel or still you have not subscribed it, please subscribe to our channel so that we can make more studies and can bring more videos for you. Thank you very much.